go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Masters Fantasy Show, brought to you by MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com. As always, I'm joined by the Masters crew, Dynasty Al, the Doc. What's up, guys? How you doing today?
Doing great.
Doing great, Commish.
Good to hear, man. Two guys that I respect in the fantasy game. I've been going through the trades all week, hand-selected a few. We're going to bring them to you guys. Just a heads up, man, these couple episodes going to be a little bit shorter. The printer broke down, so I couldn't print out any other ones. Good news is there'll be some trade montages at the end of the show. We're going to review like 3, and then I'll pop, 6, 7, 8 of them at the end for you guys to watch. With that said, let's jump right into this. First trade popping up on your screen. We got James Robinson and the 1.2 for J.K. Dobbins. Your guys' thoughts, and which side would you rather have?
I tell you what, it is tempting just with everything going on down in Jacksonville with them, not even having ETN take snaps as a running back so far. I mean, it's tempting, but I still think long-term, ETN's going to be the guy there, the workhorse. And though Robinson will probably have some role, I don't know that it's enough because I feel like Dobbins is a top 5 running back this season and, a lock in the top 10 for the next 4 or 5 years. So I'm going to go with Dobbins, but it's definitely makes you think with everything going on in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I agree with that. And really, I was kind of thinking for consistency on my takes. I've said I like a lot of these running backs from last year more than the running backs this year, and J.K. Dobbins is one of them that I feel great about. If that 1.2 picks turns into Jamar Chase, it's hard to, go there right now. But I like J.K. Dobbins a lot. I think James Robinson's role is obviously going to diminish in a big way going forward, so I'll roll with J.K.
Yeah, good stuff. And I mean, a little bit of light for James Robinson with what's happened in training camp. I'd sell the light.
Yeah, I would too. I'd still be working to sell him. I mean, if anything, now it's kind of like his value might have gone back up a touch again.
Yeah.
Right, and that's just my opinion, but I'd get rid of him at any glimmer of hope.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that could just be Urban Meyer throwing you guys a bone, all you James Robinson owners. All right, next trade popping up on your screen here. We got Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Cooks for DeAndre Swift, Jerry Jeudy, and a future one. Your guys' thoughts on which side are you taking?
Interesting.
A lot of long-term value in the Swift, Jeudy, and the future first side, but man, short-term I still love McCaffrey, and then Cooks for the next couple of years. There's still nothing to sleep on either. I mean, how many 1,000-yard receiving, how many 1,000-yard seasons has this guy put together? I'm gonna ride with the McCaffrey Cooks side, but I mean long-term Swift, Jeudy, and a future first, ton of value over there as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Al on this one too. Even though the young upsides on the Swift Jeudy side, I Cooks is gonna be the number one in Houston, which might not necessarily be the most exciting thing in the world, but I mean he should
Davis
produce.
Mills can hit him.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, it seems like you're gonna get good value out of him, even though it's not the the most attractive situation. And then McCaffrey's McCaffrey, so I'm gonna go with that side. But I can understand why someone would take the younger guys there.
Yeah, and funny thing on Cooks, just the other day I was making a trade, and I was going to use Cooks to try to slide up one place in the draft. But then I clicked on Cooks, and I'm like, dang, man, all these 1,000-yard seasons, I'm giving them up for next to nothing, and I couldn't do it, man.
Yeah.
All right, next trade popping up here. Got another Christian McCaffrey trade for you guys. Christian McCaffrey for KJ Hamler, the 2.11 and a third for Mixon, Deontay Johnson, 2.2 and a first-round pick. I think a lot of the Christian McCaffreys I see, too, wanted to pass them along. If you're sitting on McCaffrey and your team sucks, man, I mean, you could use them as a rebuild, too. Yeah. And a lot of guys are doing that.
Yeah, so honestly, I feel like this trade's super comparable to the last. Big difference is instead of Cooks, it's Hamler, which probably a step down for sure, I'd say. But Hamler's got some upside. But I'm going to still ride with the McCaffrey side for the same reasons I said before. He's still McCaffrey. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because in the leagues that I do have McCaffrey, I've been kind of sticking my nose out there trying to see what I can get for him, try to pull a big haul. And it's been similar to this where I want, like a really good running back and a good receiver, picks, something like that.
I think you got some of those offers.
Yeah, Alec gave me a couple of good offers, too, that I'm just realizing I never really responded to.
Thanks.
But I will say, I think this might be enough for me just because of how highly I view Joe Mixon. I think after this season, they're going to see how much he's utilized in that offense, and I think he's going to be up in that same tier of running backs as McCaffrey. So I'm going to take that bet and go with Mixon and Deontay Johnson here.
So I got a follow-up question because I actually do agree with pretty much everything you said. Who do you like more in Dynasty, Joe Mixon or DeAndre Swift? Because I think we're the same. Like, our heart tells us Joe Mixon,
yeah.
but the ADPs and most of the people out there, they're really excited about Swift, and not here to rain on that parade, but I do kind of like Mixon better.
Yeah.
I'll just say it, I flat out like Mixon better.
Yeah,
I do
I
too.
like that,
I mean, and they're making it very clear they're going to use him a lot. Like they said, he was on pace for that many targets. They want to get him the ball a ton this year. I just don't see how you wouldn't want Joe Mixon. I know he's had issues with health, and he hasn't ever really produced like you'd thought he would coming out of Oklahoma. But, I mean, I think this is the year he finally takes that step, and it's a really great opportunity to get him where he is right now. I mean, we've seen him in drafts going like late second, early third round, whereas Swift's going like a lock in the top 10 or so every time. I mean, I just don't see that on Swift in Detroit. I know they've made some good moves, but overall, Mixon, I as much as I'm like a homer on Mixon a little bit, I still think it's going to be worth it in the end. So I'm going to go Mixon on that one too.
Yeah, and as much as I love McCaffrey, I mean, dude, it's going to be hard for him to keep up this pace year after year after year.
We saw it last year,
Yeah.
Body diminished.
It's just
even
gonna
with
be
the
tough.
injuries too, like you could tell they were scaling back his workload a little bit too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. If you could hit the like and subscribe button. If you're looking for a place to play Dynasty football, MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com. We got over 600 leagues. Never folded a single one. Never intend to. Would love you to have you come be part of the Masters family. Any last words, guys?
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.